Hello folks, it's Mr. Muff. I have for you another 3 versus 3. In the Operation Market Garden mod for Company of Heroes, we are playing on a classic map today. This is Rails and Metal, a map from the vanilla base unmodded game that's been modified. Primarily the middle of the map has been changed around to be a little bit easier to fight over. Let's take a look at the players and get started. On the axis, we have Storm Trout, Whiskey Pat, and Pink Predator. Looks like there's 2 PE and 1 Wehrmacht for the axis. Storm Trout is playing as Luftwaffe. He's got these Fallschirmjägers here. Of note is that he is also starting with a truck. I suspect this is probably a Flak-Wehrling, given the amount of population he has on the map. It's an 88 would probably be too costly there. Whiskey Pat starting with primarily some infantry and a Stug, and Pink Predator starting with an armored car and some Panzer Grenadiers, as well as some Ostfront vets and a mortar half-track. Over on the Allies, we've got Unlimited starting as Brits. He's got some rifle grenades. I suspect he's probably RCA. Just have a feel. And then over here on the right, Gobbo Slayer is starting with some riflemen, and Robyman is starting with a Hellcat and some mechanized infantry and 2 machine guns. That's quite interesting. What do we got back here? And an AT gun for Gobbo Slayer. So I wonder if these riflemen here have suppression on them, because that's a very, well, it's just riflemen. Oops, all riflemen. Unlimited getting very aggressive with the Piats and his universal carrier. Try to pick off that scout car to no avail. And so now he's just going to get out of here, but not before an AT grenade comes in and nabs the engine crit on that guy there. I would be shocked if he gets away. But over here on the right, there's more interesting thing happening. We've got the Hellcat versus the Stug. Wow, and the Hellcat just completely flubs that shot and shoots right into the ground. So the Hellcat is gonna back off. This is a 1-on-1 engagement that doesn't favor the Hellcat. The Stug has got more armor than the Hellcat, but Gobbo Slayer has got his AD gun set up in position. So it looks like Robyman wanted to go for the flank, but instead has run into the pack gun from Storm Trout. This is the 75mm Pack 40. That is a custom unit available to Panzer Elite. It is more or less a 17-pounder, both in terms of firepower and how easy it is to destroy, as you can see here. But it looks like Robyman was able to get around and decrew it with his mechanized infantry. These mechanized infantry, of course, getting a significant offensive buff for being near a vehicle. That Hellcat is down, but, I mean, these guys have Thompsons. And they've got as much health as Panzer Grenadiers, I think. So, they are pretty strong. Especially with those grenades going off there as well. So these KCH, all on their own. Well, the Gerbsjäger's here too, but in losing the Gerbsjägers really hurts for Storm Trout, because those are extremely strong units. They're basically Recon Section Plus. With a pretty fast cooldown on their recon snipe, but they are relatively fragile, and you only get 1, and that one is gone. So that's a, you know, I mean, it's just 1 infantry unit, but it's a unique unit that, if used well, can have a really big impact. So it's very, very unfortunate for Storm Trout to have lost that. We've got the smoke grenades going off from Gobbo Slayer to try to get close on the scout car, and there's the sticky bomb. It's probably not going to destroy it. It is immobilized. So there's that, I guess. And now he's going to use the smoke grenades to try to get out. Did just sacrifice this squad to buy breathing room for the other one. I was going to say I suspect this MG is going to be in trouble against FG-42s, but Robyman, again, started with 2, so he's got them lined up in depth. Unfortunately for him, there is an off-map strike coming down. Of some kind? There it is, the Firestorm. So it looks as though... Who's red player? Whiskey is playing as Terror Doctrine, because he's got the Firestorm off map. Which I can't recall if it's Terror that gets deterrence or Blitz. There's a ability that gives... maybe it's even coming in the next patch. There's an ability that is able to upgrade the machine guns, like the secondary machine guns on vehicles, and I think the Geschützwagen can get it. I don't know. Anyway, Geschützwagen on from Whiskey to face off against the Hellcat, but he is going to also have to contend with the AT gun from Gobbo Slayer. And these storm-trapped Fallschirmjägers are getting really aggressive to try to deal with them. First he's got to get rid of these mech infantry, and he does. More rifles coming up from Gobbo Slayer. Let's real quick check what's going on the left with Unlimited. It looks like Pink Predator has set up a healing station here, which is a very common building to use for Panzer Elite when they have when there's a PE player on this side. Because it's much easier to access than the train station in the middle. Although, you know, of course, if PE is doing very well and manages to get a lockdown on the train station in the middle, maybe they go for that. But at any rate, it looks like Unlimited has brought a Staghound on and is going to be contesting these armored cars with it. Staghound can very easily take on two of these things, but I suspect Pink has got AT grenades, which is why he's charging after the Staghound. So Unlimited is going to want to keep this thing moving and keep it away from... oh man, the 50 cal on this thing never fails to impress / frustrate me. Suppressing these B-grunts. But it looks like he's bringing up some tank busters with the Panzerschreck. It does just hit the ground. And meanwhile, while the Staghound is armored car... I really like this play. The armored cars are going to come in and try to deal with this mortar. Fortunately, the armor-piercing power on this machine gun is nothing to be... I have a feeling Pink Predator probably underestimated the power of the Vickers to kill the armored cars. So he does lose one. Decrew the mortar though, and currently Unlimited doesn't really have anything to recrew it. He's just got these rifle grenades, which are a very expensive unit to use to recrew mortar, because I believe they have... I think it's like 120 munitions to buy the rifle grenades. It looks like he's trying to destroy, and he does destroy the mortar with the...
NCO's reporting they have destroyed a German target.
With the AT grenades. In that situation, it's just a judgment call, right? Because RCA mortars, I'm still operating on the assumption that Unlimited is playing RCA, just because it is in character for him, are very expensive also. You gotta pay, you gotta buy the mortar, and you can buy the supercharge. So you just have to decide, you know, what's more important to you, the rifle grenades or the mortar? And it looks like Unlimited decided it was the rifle grenades that he would rather have. So it looks like over on the right, the Allies are struggling a little bit. It seems as though the Axis has secured this, you know, highly contested little house area. And to clear the way, Rubberman has brought on a sniper to take out the anti-tank gun, thus opening up an attack route for the Hellcat and the Flame Crocodile from Gobbo Slayer. Also going to have to, of course, use these AT guns to ward off the Geschützwagen, but the nice thing that the Axis has going for them right now is Stormtrout is using his Luftwaffe Cloaked Kettenkrad to spot for the Geschützwagen. So you can see, for example, this AT gun is creeping up, I imagine. Actually, let's switch to their perspective real quick. That was slightly out of the fog of war. You could not see it. Also, there is a sniper on for the Axis as well. Right here, which I did not see because it's hard to see the labels, and he does get the counter snipe. Well played to Whiskey. Now he just needs to get out of here before he gets chased down by all these riflemen. And I think he'll be alright with the scout car coming to back him up. But he's going to want to keep moving. Yeah, and now these guys are suppressed by this MG, and they're fine. Crocodile's going to come in, try to rush it, but with this pack here... That's a big hit. Oh my gosh, but he might get it. Ah, but he turned around. And there's the main gun, and he gets the crush! Wow! Nice work, Gabo Slayer. I'm not entirely sure how you knew that was there, because the pings from being sniped, you know, when you have a unit get sniped, little pings appear on the map.
NCOs reporting they have
But I
destroyed
don't
a
think they
German
last
target.
that long, so that might have just been a good mix of intuition and luck. Here come the jeeps that riflemen brought on as his sniper counter. No longer really necessary, but they are useful for this exact kind of thing. Pushing around elite infantry so that they can't fight back effectively. Also flanking out weapons to make sure they either get decrewed or can't be recrewed. So, I know Roverman is a big fan of jeeps, just sort of in general, so let's see what kind of creative uses he has for those. In the meantime, it looks like Unlimited has captured the train station with a machine gun. That's always a good place to be. Especially because the British Vickers machine guns... Wow, these engineers are kicking these freaking Panzergrand's asses. Also, here comes the 25-pounder. Was trying to hit the truck or the gun. Let's see how many hit points the gun has. I think he was hitting the truck. No, he did. He got an AT grenade off on the gun, so if he can get aggressive, he might be able to finish it off, but it looks like he's going to be fine for now. Anyway, what I was trying to say is the British machine gun has been buffed over the bunker variant just because it was sort of underperforming in a mobile role, which sounds paradoxical, but, you know, just take my word for it. It made sense at the time. But arguably is a little bit overtuned, so if you're able to get one in this train station here and lock it down and support it with anti-tank, that can be pretty devastating. Unfortunately for Unlimited, it looks like he did get pushed off by that Panther and had to fall back. We've got the Flak Veerling set up by Stormtrout here. I suspect that's probably been there all game because it looks like the Allies have been working on getting rid of it. Not sure what that was. It might have been an infantry off-map. Because Gabo's probably playing infantry with the amount of rifles that he has. So I think that might have... Oh no, that's a creeping barrage. Nice. Right, of course. Silly me. Anyway, point is, Flak Veerling's gone. I imagine before it really had an opportunity to do anything, so unfortunate for Stormtrout. Also, here's a Pershing. Haven't seen one of those in a while. I wonder whether he's got the HFAP shells on it or the standard heat shells. Wow, with the amount of damage that did to those grenadiers, I'm pretty sure it's the standard shells. We've got the PAC-40 creeping up here to try to get some shots on it. Let's switch to Stormtrout's perspective to see how the line of sight is working on that. We've also got the Panther here chipping away. Here's the other Firestorm going down on the healing station, it looks like. Unfortunately, it rather completely missed the healing station, and also didn't really catch the artillery. Although, they might get it anyway, just from this very bit on the edge. No, it is going to live. For now. It does look like Stormtrout has found a little line of sight area through here by which the CCS healing station can be damaged. So if Whiskey gets his Panther like right there, he could shoot through it, but of course the Pershing would have something to say about that. Also, I was wrong. Gobble Slayer is not playing infantry, he's playing armor because that's his Pershing. The simple solution, of course, to any healing building is just to hit it with a mortar, which is what Pink is going to be doing here. Maybe that was a flame round? Not a firestorm, but there were two blobs, so I'm not sure. A little blitz here for the 88. I guess he's relocating. 17-pounder, big hit on the mortar half-track. And Predator's going to be getting that out of there. I wonder what was spotting there. I'm not sure. Maybe the LT was up front and I didn't notice. What's going on over here? Ooh, Hellcat's gone down. Looks like Roby was trying to make some sort of aggressive move back here, maybe to capture or take out some asset that I missed because there's a lot happening. Still got 2 of these jeeps. 3 of them, in fact. Just giving him line of sight. Well, 2 of them. Giving him line of sight all over. We now also have a captain coming on for Unlimited, who will be able to designate victor target for the artillery, so getting a little bit more population efficiency out of this howitzer. On top of the standard barrage and the creeping barrage, the captain can also designate a barrage with a flare. And also we'll have to see what he tries to target. Looks like the 88 is being relocated again. We've got Crete veterans on for Storm Trout. These guys are kind of hard to tell apart at a glance from regular Fallschirmjägers, but they are notably stronger by way of having just a whole bunch of very small buffs on them. And the way Company Heroes works is if you have a whole bunch of small buffs, they add up to greater than the sum of the parts, and these guys are pretty tough. As you can see by the fact that they have level 3 veterancy on them, so they've been apparently doing well for him so far. Pink Predator, not attempting to repair the mortar half-track, is just going to keep using it, and is punished for it. Gobble Slayer does sneak this AT gun into position. However, Gobble Slayer in turn might be punished for that, because the tank busters are bearing down on it with their Panzerschrecks. There's not really a whole lot to protect it, except for the Pershing here, which is not really doing anything to try to advance. I imagine because they both belong to the same player, and Gobble Slayer was busy trying to micro the gun. Oh. We got artillery going out on the left, going on the pack gun, and the pack gun is destroyed. So that's one obstacle out of the way for the Pershing. He must have had line of sight for that, because that is an incredibly accurate barrage. Look at that grouping. All of them just landed square where the AT gun was. So I wonder what he had spotting for him. Speaking of spotting, Stormtrout's got this Kettenkrat up here spotting for the 88, which is always pretty dangerous. I wonder if he can see the AT gun. He cannot, so he's just going for the LT or the recon section, I guess. Way back here, Rifleman is continuing to be very aggressive. He looks like he's trying to get the pick on the Panther with the M10, and he does, with the one assisting shot from the Pershing. Fortunately for Rob, Pink's Panzer Grenadiers do get the AT grenade off to finish off the M10, but an M10 for a Panther is still a favorable trade. Of course, Panther's costing way more than M10s. A lot of the times when you call on an M10, you do it with the understanding that it's going to die once it accomplishes its mission. Unlimited has got up here with these recon sections and crewed the 88. It's gonna get decrewed basically immediately, but not before these tank busters almost destroy it, and the mortar finishes it off. So, nice job from Storm Trout, killing his teammate's 88. Was just fed up with it, I guess. Get out of here with this thing. You keep moving it around. Either use it or don't. I'm being facetious, of course. Shit happens. Here's an idle thought. I wonder if Crete veterans benefit from the double Panzerfaust upgrade that Luftwaffe can get for the Fallschirmjägers. I wouldn't be surprised if the answer to that was no, because a lot of the times unique units that you would think would benefit from something actually don't. Like, for example, the Polish Commandos reward unit doesn't benefit from some doctrines that the other commandos do. You can see Unlimited here taking advantage of the free emplacements that British can build to just block the path in front of the artillery, and I believe this also creates like difficulty shooting at them, like sometimes the shots will hit the mortar emplacement. Don't quote me on that though. Ooh, here comes the other firestorm. So I guess that was a mortar barrage before. Bit of a friendly fire incident on the Crete Vets though. They did lose a man. And so far the MG is rather unperturbed, so I think that did a little bit more harm than good. I mean, that really did squarely nothing other than kill a guy out of the Creed vets. So, Storm Trout is going to want to get those guys healed. Here's the Terror MG from Whiskey. Those are very brutal on account of their, you know, I mean, God, look at the damage on that. And this is what I'm talking about with like little bonuses make a big difference. Because the Terror MG, when it shoots at a target, it just casts a 10% incoming accuracy? Accuracy or damage? I think it's accuracy. Like debuff on the target. And like, just look how much damage that did to those rifles. I realize rifles are not very squishy, but like at that maximum range, MG should not be doing that much damage unless it's a Terror MG. Oh, is he gonna die? Oh man, Gobble Slayer. Oh no, finished off by the Luftwaffe ground forces. So that MG is gone, and that's going to let Whiskey move in with all this infantry, try to destroy this AT gun. Isn't gonna be able to. And all of these guys grouped up got a big shot off on the Sherman to kill a bunch of them, but the Sherman cannot get aggressive on account of the pack gun here, which is really just gonna leave this AT gun and this injured rifle squad to sort of fend for themselves. Sherman is just sort of doing a fighting retreat, taking pot shots as Whiskey creeps this pack up under cloak. He does know that the enemies are aggressing, so he doesn't want to reveal it by moving it up faster uncloaked. Now he's moving back with this very aggressive counter push from Gobbo Slayer with these riflemen. Unfortunately, there's only so much they can do against the Terror MG, so these guys are going to be toast under mortar fire like here. And speaking of mortar fire, you see that mortar half-track getting the flame round off on this MG, and look how much damage a square hit from that does. I mean, the squad just died instantly. Here comes a new creeping barrage. I suspect it's going up this way to try to get the mortar half-track. Mortar half-track is getting out of the way, but this pack gun is in danger. Sounds like Unlimited is using units too, but I want to see what this gets. Got the medic half-track over here as well. I believe it's deployed. While it's deployed, it has a damage resist. Yeah, if it's cloaked, then it's deployed. But usually, if it's deployed, you have like the little medic symbol on it. So I don't know how it's cloaked but not deployed. Strange. Anyway, what's going on over here? Looks like, just from glancing at the map a minute ago without really paying much attention to it, it looked like the Axis were trying to get at the howitzer. Howitzer is still up. This is a very aggressive spot for this howitzer, especially with the situation of the front line right now, but it's still not a bad spot for it, because it's got this bush protecting it from this side. He's got these bunkers up front giving some near superficial but still not inconsequential protection, and also, you know, gives place for infantry to sit in. Which I think it's probably just like yellow cover, if any cover at all, because like look at the damage the LT is taking there. Wowee. And again, LTs don't have that much cover or health, but still, RIP to that guy. So if these guys have AT grenades, this artillery might be in trouble. Oh wow, nice shot from the 17 pounder, just kills a man. Speaking of Terror MGs, it looks like Gobbo Slayer managed to nab one for himself. That is always a nice thing to have. Having Terror MGs as the allies is just devastating, right? I would even go so far as to say almost on par with capturing a pack. Not quite. Capturing a pack is pretty massive, but if you make really good use of a Terror MG, that can be so hard to deal with sometimes. As we have seen over here, where basically every attack the allies have tried to make has gotten shut down by that Terror MG that just mulches everything it shoots at. Got a light AT half-track on from Pink, managed to get the snare on the Sherman from Gobbo Slayer. This is a long barrel Sherman with the Mind Flail, which is... oh wow, RIP to that MG. The whole thing is gone. But this is an interesting combination. I do not see the Mind Flails very often. And I don't see the long nose that often either, just because of the rate of fire penalty on it. Anyway, we've got a Hummel on from Pink Predator, trying to just hit these dudes. The 17-pounder mayhaps. Interesting that he wasn't trying to do the counter barrage against the howitzer from Unlimited. I think that was just a one-man engineer squad that died there. How many kills did this end up with? One. And the MG? I think that was from the Hummel. I don't know. Anyway, here's that Terra MG doing work again. The crew is down to one guy, but when there's nobody shooting back at him because the KCH are in front and everything else is suppressed, who cares, right? Rubberman is trying to use this massive infantry force to flank it out, right? Go one way and go the other, and the AMG can't shoot at them both. Unfortunately, he did not execute it quite at the right timing, which let Whiskey just suppress one group than the other, and now he's coming in with these KCH to help the Fallschirmjägers just sweep all these guys up while they're still suppressed. Of course, we do have this artillery barrage coming in from Unlimited, but it's hitting lots of nothing here. Like, look at that. Alright, so we got a splash hit on him there, but it didn't finish him off. So if I were Whiskey, I would bring on some Volksgrenadiers if he has the free pop to do so, which I imagine he might because he just lost some units. Let's switch to his perspective real quick and check. Yeah, if he's got a call-in of 9 pop, or like loses one more guy, as he might hear from this Sherman, call in some Volksgrenadiers and cycle the crew on this thing. Right, this guy has got 8 kills on him, he got a bar vet, save that, put a new crew on it so that the next attack, you know, the guy doesn't die and the thing gets decrewed in the middle of a push. We've got a terror barrage going off here. There's a terror howitzer on from Whiskey as well. Looks like he managed to get a really big barrage that we just totally missed. Look at that, 9 kills and 2 decrewed weapons, which the mortar is now going to come up and try to finish off. So, very devastating artillery there from Whiskey. Much better barrage than Unlimited managed to pull off with his 25-pounder. Speaking of, how is it doing? Only 2 kills. That's rough. He did have the 1 creeping barrage at the start, which was decent, but like, damn, you know, 1 barrage from the terror howitzer gets 11 kills. We've had 2 creeping barrages and 2 or 3 regular barrages for 2 kills. Yikes. That said, of course, it is well known that the terror howitzer is overtuned right now. The terror howitzer, of course, being a unit that's not technically from VICO, it's from the campaign. And so there's a little bit more freedom from the design perspective to fiddle with it. And it's been fiddled with a little bit too much. As you can see, it's very strong. Let's switch back to the perspective we were in before so we get the colors sorted out. So we've got a new healing station going up from Rowbyman. Looks like we lost the CCS that had the artillery in its aura there. Speaking of artillery, here comes the Hummel on the 17-pounder emplacement and the howitzer, and the flame barrage as well from the mortar. The 17 might go down, which is quite impressive on account of the fact that these things are very resistant to artillery damage. But as you can see here, Stormtrout has managed to creep this one Luftwaffe ground force guy in here to get line of sight, which makes the artillery barrage much more accurate, in addition to the fact that Pink Predator brought his Hummel right up to the front line here to get a close-range barrage, which also reduces the scatter. They didn't quite finish it off, but it would be a trivial thing to creep like a pack gun up here, or just finish it off with the mortar. You can see how little damage the mortar does to it, right? That's the artillery resistance, but, you know, 5 square hits from a Hummel will do this. Hummels do a lot of damage. Where's Stormtrout still got the Crete veteran squad? I don't see it anywhere. It's only got a couple infantry units. I think it might be off. Bad news for this Sherman. It's got the smoke screen and the self-crew repair to try to get out of this situation, but I would not hedge my bets in its favor. Although saying that, The crew repair finishes off repairing the engine and then ends, and he's a wow. I would not have expected that. This smoke never works out that well for me. Like, it's useful, but it never makes packs miss that much for me. Holy cow. Ooh, Unlimited has nabbed himself a pack gun
NCOs reporting they have destroyed
and is
a German
cloaking it
target.
immediately to make it not be targeted by the flak veiling. Of course, Whiskey is going to try to not let that get stolen, which he does with ease using KCH and a Terra MG. Big friendly fire on with the mortar there, though. Damages the KCH, but doesn't kill any men, so they're just going to use their medkit. This Recon Stewart with the broken texture is going to keep that decrewed, though. This thing is a lot more resistant to the flak veiling than I thought it would be, to be honest. And we've got a creeping barrage coming down. Obliterates the crew off of this guy, but the gun is still here. This quad is not doing bad either. Like, it's got the main gun damage crit, but there's no main gun on it. That's great, because the MG on the thing is a Staghound MG, and it works like the Staghound MG, which is to say it's, you know, like the secondary gun or whatever. Here comes the Terror Barrage again. 20 kills, my dude. Is this only the second barrage that's done? Like, wow. Are there a bunch of dead bodies here? Well, there's 2 friendly armored cars that are getting hit, so that's a bit of an oversight on Pink's part, just letting those sit there. It does look like the Allies have largely shifted over to the left to try to push together. Remains to be seen how effective that's going to be, but at least they've pushed up to these trenches and gotten the pressure off of their artillery gun, which has gotten a big 7 kills total now. Look at the placing of this thing. It's so wonky. Oh. Huh. Alright. Anyway.
NCOs reporting they have destroyed a German target.
New 88 up from Storm Trout, here right next to the train station. Here comes the artillery over on the left here, trying to get these rifles from riflemen, but he's going to get them out of the way. I don't know if he took casualties from that, but overall, not the most devastating barrage we have seen. Although, you know, if the Terror Howitzer is the benchmark, it's tough to beat. I wonder... yeah, that's what I figured. I figured that was trying to get line of sight for a barrage, and it looks like the first shell benefited from it, but I believe it's every shell that's fired, it rechecks to see if you have line of sight. So the rest of them are fairly accurate, but not quite dead on like the first one was. They did manage to decrew it, though, and wow, that was crewed by Fallschirmjägers, so it must have been a pretty desperate situation to crew an 88 with Fallschirmjägers. But I mean, it's just like that situation before with you know, Unlimited had to decide whether to crew the RCA mortar with rifle grenades and elected not to. Well, Storm Trout made the opposite decision, I guess. Wow, Whiskey's got not quite a back cap, but a D cap going here. How's population? I'm good at this job, and always remember to turn on cinematic mode to see how population is. Allies on the back foot. They're down to 33 population and are losing population as well, as I suspect they have been for most of the game. I haven't paid too close attention to that. But Unlimited's artillery in grave danger, so he's just going to shoot it while he can at the 88. We can see here, though, the Martyr is actually shooting at the Priest. Or he's shooting at this mortar pit? I don't know why. Yeah, there we go. It's a bit better. So the 25 pounder is down, but Unlimited had a priest and a 25 pounder on at the same time, which is a lot of population dedicated into units that don't fight. Oh god, here's the Terror Howitzer again. Oh no, the crew's gone. We can't see how many kills it just got. Which is evidently quite a lot. Look at these poor boys. Here come the KCH to clean them up. 16 kills on the KCH. Not bad. Especially because it's only one. Right? I find sometimes KCH squads struggle when there's only one. They're typically much stronger if you bring them in pairs. But not a problem for Whiskey. He is, of course, playing as Terror, and Terror gets some upgrades for KCH. They get a suppression resist aura is the biggest one. And of course, being able to move at full speed while a medkit is active doesn't hurt either. So, if there's anybody who would be able to get 17 kills on a single KCH squad by itself, it's a Terror player. So we've got another rifle push from riflemen on the left, trying to kill off these Ostfront vets. Also taking advantage of pushing around the squad with this jeep so it can't fight effectively, as we saw earlier in the game. Wonder if this is the same one of those jeeps that he brought on about the sniper, or if it's just another one he had in reserve. Because I know Rubberman likes jeeps enough that he'll just put them in Collins, like he'll put a rifle in a jeep or something. Oh, whoa, that was a brutal hit. Goodbye to all these riflemen. Oh man, it's Artillery Armageddon here. There's shells going every which way, just flying past each other in the air. We've got the Devil's Brigade on from Unlimited. I wonder what he's going to try to do with this. Because they don't have the machine guns on them, so presumably not fight. Maybe he's got demo charges on them and he wants to try to blow up the 88. The 88's right there. Also, he's been spotted by the Schwimmwagen, so I guess it's go time. And that's going to be the smoke grenade to try to get close to the 88, but no joy there. I wonder what this negative aura on them is. Do Terror KCH have some sort of debuff thing that they can do? I don't think so.
An entire unit is KIA.
Yes, they are. So we can see all these assault grenadiers getting pinned down basically instantly by this Vickers from Unlimited, and that is, you know, the power of combining both RCA's ability, the Doctrine ability that buffs Vickers, gives them like extra accuracy while they, like after they've been set up for a while, like extra accuracy minus light if I recall correctly. On top of the fact that, again, these things are arguably a little bit stronger than they should be. So these guys are fortunate that they were at the very edge and were able to get away without getting overrun by infantry. They're just going to heal up. So we've got a sniper eye from Goggle Slayer. I assume to try to deal with this pack gun. Well, the Allies don't really have any tanks on. Oh, yes, they do. They've got a 105 Sherman. That's to deal with the AT gun, which he does. And that is quite fortunate because these things can be kind of inconsistent. Right? I believe their firing pattern is the first shell will probably go about where you wanted it, and then it'll overshoot and undershoot, which is what we saw there. You can see the 3 craters, in fact. So, like, if you don't get a good hit with the first one, then the rest of them aren't really going to do anything. I'm personally not a big fan of this unit. I think it's a big pop sink for not great effect, but hey, he managed to do the thing, because that pack gun is decrewed, and now they're not going to take advantage of it by trying to destroy or capture it, which is unfortunate, especially because there's not really anything there to stop them from taking it. And that could be a very useful tool for dealing with this mortar, for dealing with the 88, because you can creep it up without line of sight, for dealing with these scout cars. Right, obviously it's not going to do it by itself, but if you back it up with the 17 and the Panzer strike on an engineer, man, that's rough. Always hate doing that. So decrewed 57 over here. I guess they're just leaving it for when they need it. Suspect rifleman is running low on stuff. Although, I guess the 105 and... Oh wait, no, that's Gabo's sniper. And that's Gabo's 105. Well, at any rate, still, this is Roby's all Roby stuff. Oh, you know what it is? Because the allies have reduced the amount of pop on the field. I keep forgetting. But he is all on field, actually. We can just see it right here by clicking on him and looking at cinematic mode, a useful feature. Stormchild also is all on. This is Whiskey.
German target has been destroyed.
Unlimited's got a little bit left. Not really a surprise from an artillery player. Speaking of artillery, Inksel on with this big humble barrage here, doing not a whole lot. What's going on over here? Here come the scout cars. One gets taken out by the engineer Panzerschreck, but Stormtrout Schumwagen blocking him from doing anything else. Here we've got the artillery barrage from the 105 Sherman trying to take out the mortar. Very greedy play, but the mortar's not having any of it. He's just going to drive right up. Try to get that penetration shot. Unlimited needs to turn this 17 around. Main gun off on the Stormtrout Martyr. I wonder if he was able to see that. I suspect not. I don't know. Well, he's backed off now. What is the line of sight on these things for self-spotting? Hard to tell now. So, yeah. Who's to say? Who's to say? At any rate, the important thing is, now it's dead. It doesn't have any way to defend itself. Rifleman managed to pick up the Panzerschreck after it got dropped, and that's the ball game for him. Yowza. Not looking good for the Axis right now, folks. They're getting pushed back. As we saw, they're also all on field. They've got this flak fearling, which is a nice asset for, you know, all the infantry that the Allies have, but it's not invulnerable. It is vulnerable to pack gun creep, I believe, in a way that the Bofors is not. You don't see these things very often, so I'm not super familiar with what their vulnerabilities are. And there's that. You can see the little eyeball on it, right? That's the thing indicating it's got extra line of sight and accuracy. In combination with just it being a Vickers. This medic half-track's not doing too good either, eh? I don't think the Axis had a... Whoa. There's the priest finally hitting something. Yeah, so Axis are done. This is the cleanup phase. Let's just speed through it until they pull off, which they are doing now. Alright. Yeah. Cool. Well done, Allies. I don't have any cool analysis for this. This was, you know, all around a pretty decent game. Lots of artillery, obviously. And I will say the Axis made much better use of theirs than the Allies did. I don't feel like the Priest and the 25-pounder accomplished a very large amount. Whereas the Hummel and the Terrorhauser just got so many kills. Just a devastating amount of kills on some of these infantry blobs. And the Hummel, you know, took care of important assets at important times. Which basically means, you know, Unlimited, unfortunately, just had a huge amount of pop soaked up on units that did not much. And because of that, he's got 3 whole platoons left and can't call them on because of the pop cap. Allies are finally getting some pop back now because, you know, the Axis have run out of stuff. But yeah, you can see
Enemy unit has been knocked out.
Gabo's not even worried about that flak feeling because as long as you can kill the infantry, it does a lot less damage to these than I thought it would. Anyway, as long as he deals with the infantry, then the Axis can't capture, and if you can't capture, there's no way you can win. Especially the amount of stuff the Allies have. So yep, that's the ball game. Alright. Nice game. And I'll end it there as soon as I regain control of my ability to manipulate the recording software, because the game does freeze. Alright. Cool. Catch y'all in the next one.